afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Across the Fence. I'm Jolie Whitney. According to a report by Northwestern University's Medill School of Journalism, since 2005, the U.S. has lost nearly 2,900 newspapers. That report warns that the nation is on pace to lose 1/3 of all of its newspapers by the end of next year. About 6,000 newspapers remain, the majority of which are weeklies. For those of us in the news business, these are grim stats, but such is the business of news nowadays. In an effort by the University of Vermont that has been underway for the past few years to recruit students to become old-fashioned shoe leather reporters and tell stories that aren't being told much anymore. Our guests today are Carolyn Shapiro, a freelance writer and an editor and instructor with the UVM's Community News Service. Joining Carolyn is Catherine Morrissey, a UVM junior and a film and television student major. Carolyn, let's start with you. Can you tell me a little bit about what the Community News Service is?
Community News Service is an internship program. It's a class that includes an internship. Students write for newspapers across the state. It's a hands-on, real-world experience for them. They get assignments from small papers. We have about 10 to 12 community newspaper partners who give assignments, and we have the students go out and report and write them. The class helps school them up while they do the process. We cover reporting techniques, interviewing skills, writing structure, and they basically do the work as they do the class. They produce several stories during the semester, and it's a dual purpose kind of program because our community partners get content for free. It's edited by myself and our primary managing editor for Community News Service. And so the stories are fully ready for publication, and the students end the semester with a portfolio of work with their bylines.
And speaking of the end of the semester, it's right around the corner. Does the news stop for the summer?
Oh, that's a good question. We have a Community News Service summer cohort, so it doesn't stop. We tend to do not so much breaking work, as in hard news, fast turnaround work. So, but the partners do continue to get stories from us, and we have students who are able to do summer, continue on. Many of them have already done the class, then they continue and stay for the summer.
Nice. And we were mentioning a lot of newspapers have gone out of business. Are there news deserts in Vermont? Where are they?
There's absolutely news deserts in Vermont. Actually, in many ways, Vermont is lucky in this way. There are many, many small communities that have newspapers that are brand new, newly stood up to fill those news gaps. The Waterbury Roundabout is one of them. There are several communities that have papers that have been around for more than 100 years. The Bradford Journal-Opinion is one of those. Those are both our partners. The Northeast Kingdom is has pockets of wonderful news coverage. The Barton Chronicle, the Hardwick Gazette is one of our partners, and they're in the Northeast Kingdom, but there are parts of the Northeast Kingdom that have no coverage at all. There's parts of sort of Northeast Kingdom West where there are some pockets. So I don't know any state that doesn't have some degree of news desert. But Vermont is lucky in that it is a small state and it has a lot of small publications, and they are really serving their communities. And that's what Community News Service is about. We're here to help them.
All right, and Catherine, let's move on to you a little bit. Why did you join this program?
I found this program by someone from the service came and talked to our class one time in the fall semester, and I was super interested. It's just an amazing opportunity to get real life clips that I can add to my resume, and right after completing this program, I can go and apply for real life jobs with real life articles that I've written.
And you spent this last semester as a photojournalist for the program. Can you tell me what your favorite story was you covered this semester?
That's a good question. I've done so many. I think probably my favorite was one I did last week. I covered a fencing practice in Charlotte, and it was this after-school club that had a bunch of students, but the club also consisted of like a bunch of people 50 and up. There was this man that was like 75 that was fencing with this little boy that was like 7, and they were just having such a good time, and it was so fun to be in this really niche spot in the state covering a niche sport. It just was an amazing opportunity.
And do you see how your work makes a difference in the communities you're going to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the stats that you were talking about earlier, small newspapers are dying across the nation, and being part of a force that's trying to like uplift them, bring them back to life, especially taking photographs. I get to follow people to their stories. So they're covering things that aren't going to be covered already. And now I'm adding a visual to that too. It's really rewarding.
And was there a story that stood out to you as being really challenging from this semester?
Yeah, the first one that I did was this farm that had burned down in Franklin County that housed cows, and 20 of the cows died. And I went to photograph the farmers talking about it, and it was really difficult to be there. They walked us to like the barn that had burned down. They were talking about the cows that had died. They were able to name them. It was a really brutal emotional experience, and feeling like I had to like lift up the camera and take photos felt hard, but looking at them afterwards, it felt so worthwhile. Just being able to provide a visual for the loss that they felt.
Yeah, going to a community and documenting that, absolutely. And it sounds kind of like this program going all over the state and covering all small topics that other print journalism maybe doesn't cover. It sounds a lot like the AP. Carolyn, do you think that's an apt comparison?
It is a little bit like that. We've thought of community news service as a as a sort of traditional news wire type service. Yes, for the stories that our other community news outlets, of which there are many, are not covering. Nobody can get everywhere. Everybody is short-staffed, strapped. There's a million stories that we're not covering at any given time, in Vermont and beyond. So yes, I think that we work very hard to fill the gaps that existing news outlets, our partner news outlets, and others that aren't partners but are doing good work are not covering. And in fact, we get picked up by some of the larger organizations like VT Digger that are doing their own amazing work and again can't be everywhere, and they're seeing our stories as a good supplement. So yes, I think we serve that purpose.
And how many papers do you work with?
We have a cohort of about 10 to 12 that are our regular partners. And then we actually would love more. We love to get the assignments. We're here to support those folks. We want them to come to us and let us help them. It gives the students experience. It allows us to get in more areas of the state. So we would like more. But the core 10 to 12 have been in the program now a couple of years. They have a lot of faith in what we do. They're really, really great at giving us good assignments, and so it's a nice relationship. It takes a little bit to build that up, but we would like it to expand.
All right, and if someone's interested in participating, can you tell them how to get in touch? And also, if I don't go to UVM, is that something I could participate in?
Oh, sure. Well, my particular class is for UVM students, but because our website is outward facing and it works as that sort of newswire service, we will take work from outside. Our standards are pretty high. We do a pretty robust amount of editing, and so it has to be something that we are going to stand behind. We do identify when it's a student from somewhere else, and we are here to support students, so we want it to be, for example, we recently did run a story through Community News Service from a St. Mike's student. They have a wonderful journalism program at St. Mike's College, and so St. Michael's College. So we did run that. We're pretty full with what we're doing, but we are open to that, yes.
All right, thank you so much. And we're joined now by another one of Carolyn's students, Rebecca Olshan. You are a senior in this program, and you're actually graduating in about a week, so that's very exciting.
Thank you, I know, it's very exciting.
And so how do you think that your experience with this program is gonna help you kind of after graduation?
Oh my gosh, I mean, so much, especially because, I don't know, I'm interested in kind of continuing something like this along this path, and so I've gotten so much experience through this program with being able to, have editors who are also, my instructors. So we have a really good relationship because it's like, in some ways, very professional because, we're sitting down for an extended period of time, going over like what to do, to get these stories and like, different things to, edits to make, obviously, and spending a while kind of doing that. But also I can say at any time when I need to, like, hey, I need some help, and could you give me some guidance here? And there's completely open communication because it is kind of that like dual editor and instructor relationship. And I mean, I've just gotten so much experience through this program with feeling like I'm an independent reporter, like I'm, a reporter in my own right, and being able to make decisions, and figure out who to contact for certain stories. And well, like I said, I have that guidance from my editors and, also instructor Carolyn. But I also am kind of doing it on my own and getting to grow my own freedom and independence as a reporter, which is absolutely something I'll take with me into like starting my own career.
And do you want to work in news?
I do, yeah. I've definitely wanted to for a while now. I've kind of established that throughout my time in college, my 4 years here. I did another internship last summer where I was kind of working for this. I was an editorial intern for an online magazine, but I mean, CNS has been such a different experience, doing real, actual news and going to these towns in Vermont and actually, getting to talk to people about their real lives and things that are affecting them. And I don't know, I've loved it. So I'm excited. I definitely want to continue on in news.
Yeah, that's very exciting. And Carolyn, can you speak really quickly? We'd be remiss to be on Channel 3 here and not mention the relationship between your program and print journalism and also kind of TV news in the state of Vermont. When we've spoken about news deserts, can you kind of talk about that relationship?
Sure. There isn't a direct line relationship right now. We'd like there to be one. We have made the both WCAX, WPTZ, some of our other wonderful television stations and broadcasters here in the area. We've made our content available really to any news outlet in the state. So we have been talking to them about opportunities for them to use our work as well. We also have been talking to them about opportunities for them to give us assignments. Our students are print journalists in my program. We have an audio cohort of Community News Service that has mostly worked with, as I'm a working journalist from Vermont Public. We would probably be interested in talking, we definitely are interested in talking about more of a relationship with some of the TV news in our area. WCAX is one of the outlets that does amazing work around the state, but again, there's also stories that they're missing, so I think there's a real opportunity there.
Absolutely, and it sounds like that's something you provide for all news in the state.
Anyone is able to use our content, which is why we have our website available. So it's outward facing. It isn't something that we promote as its own news outlet. It is for other news outlets to use the work. That is our primary goal. Our primary goal is not to compete with any other news outlet in the state. We are helping them out.
Absolutely. And Rebecca, before we wrap up, we have to know, what was your favorite story to cover in your time here?
Yeah, I would say, so for town meeting day, actually, we got to spend the entire day going off in little teams across the state of Vermont and cover the town meetings, which was extremely cool. It was like a really amazing, beautiful look at, kind of how small town politics work in Vermont and how passionate people are. And so I think I left my house at like 6:30 in the morning and wasn't back until like 9 p.m. It was a
Where
really
did you go?
long day. So I was in Stockbridge and Hancock.
Nice.
And so this town of like 350 people, and there's like 35 people at their town meeting. That's a huge portion of their town, and people really care a lot, especially here in Vermont, which is so rural. And I think that was just a fantastic opportunity for me, and probably my favorite story that we did.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. And that wraps up our program for today. From the crew behind the scenes here at WCAX, I'm Jolie Whitney. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.